Hi, my name's Chris McKenna. I teach the business history course in Oxford. And one of the things that's so wonderful about it is that Oxford itself is a fascinating place to be. And it may be that you have never thought about this, but you might have asked yourself why Oxford is where it is. Well, of course, the reason it is literally where it is because of the river. It was the place where the oxen forded the river. In fact, I'm right up against one of the locks that runs through Oxford, the canal that connected London with Birmingham. When the railways replaced canals, the Great Western Railway would link Oxford to London, and not coincidentally, Oxford would become central to the automotive industry when William Morris built his car factory just outside the city. To this day, BMW still builds the Mini in Oxford. Understanding the business history is the basis of business literacy. And it's no coincidence that the business history course was for many years the most popular course at the Harvard Business School. Alfred Chandler, who founded the field of corporate strategy, was a business historian. If you want to understand the future of business, you need to understand its past. Are we, as the World Economic Forum argues, entering a fourth industrial revolution of robotics and artificial intelligence? If so, we need to understand what happened during the first, the second, and the third industrial revolutions. Business history reminds us that if you want to understand the largest companies in the world today, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Facebook, we need to understand the giant corporations from 100 years ago, like General Electric, Exxon, and Shell. Just why is it that Oxford University, like Harvard, still is so dominant? History, it seems, still exercises power. If part of the reason that you came to Oxford was because it's an ancient university, do you ever wonder why you aren't spending more time in the museums and libraries than the rest of the university? I'm standing here in the Ashmolean Museum, which is not only part of the university, but also the oldest university museum in the world. If by looking past one artifact you can see another, then those cultures were trading. And this is why we come here to understand the trade in textiles from India. The Ashmolean is one of the many places that we'll visit to understand the development of business during the first, the second, and the third industrial revolutions. From a boat trip on the Oxford River to understand British industrialization, to a visit to the Pitt Rivers Museum to see the evolution from samurai armor to modern Japanese weapons, and a trip to both the Bodleian Library and the Museum of the History of Science to see the archival collections of Marconi, we will understand the museums of Oxford. Whether looking at Chinese coinage or Oxford's medieval land records, this course will take you across more than 400 years of history, 5 countries, the UK, Germany, Japan, China, and India, and 3 industrial revolutions. So while you read articles and case studies just like you will in other classes, this class will be different because you're getting out into the rest of the university where all this great stuff is all around us. This may be the first time that you'll ever hear someone argue that the assessment is even better than the underlying course. Throughout the business history course, like the other courses you've taken, we'll be reading case studies. Unlike other courses, however, some of your case studies will have been written by former students. Your assignment is to write a case study based on your historical research about an organization that covers 10 years or more. It could be a nonprofit, like Brasenose College, where I am, or a government department. One student wrote a case on Buckingham Palace. I look forward to hearing your topics. I hope that your case will become one of the cases that I'm editing via my project on the global history of capitalism. Let me give you an example. One of the case studies that students wrote for me was a case study about a 19th century bank. This bank in China, which was in the center of China, they had to carry coins from the center of China to the edges of China. These coins are heavy. Imagine carrying hundreds, if not thousands of these coins across the country. When you carry that many coins, you're an easy mark for criminals. So what would you do? You would develop paper money. Now, the other thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to write a note about this, a teaching note, so that I know what to do. What does this relate to? Why should I teach it? How should I teach it? What are the examples that I want to know about? So you're going to write a teaching note in addition to the cases, but these cases can last beyond you. So that's the business history elective. I hope that you'll find it as intriguing as I do. After all, what other elective will give you the excuse to visit the museums, the libraries, and the colleges of Oxford to understand business history. Come learn about the institutions that brought you to this place originally.